There's a lot going on here in Sri Lanka and around the world. To stay updated with the latest of news, you're watching Primetime News here on TV1. Bringing you the news from the news desk, I am Sandro Satyajit. Before we head on to your news in detail, let's have a look at your headlines this night.
Cricket encounter of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. Parliamentarians team grabs the Mahinda Rajapaksa Challenge Trophy. Water yet to be provided to Hambantota. Many cultivations destroyed. Agriculture Minister explains the difficulties in paying compensation. Electricity production capacity of the Samanalava power plant limited. Plans to complete the construction of the power transmission system of the south in 5 days. Investigations into the death of a cellulitis patient that occurred with the admission of a drug commences.
ලංකාවට 23000ක් පමණ මේ ඖෂධය ගෙනල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඒයින් සෑහෙන ප්‍රමාණයක් මේ වෙනකොටත් පාවිච්චි කරමින් පවතිනවා.
Starting off with your lead story this evening, Mahinda Rajapaksa Friendly Cricket Challenge Tournament got underway on Saturday with the participation of many SLPP MPs and state ministers.
Many members of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna participated in the Mahinda Rajapaksa Friendly Cricket Challenge Tournament held at the Nuwara Municipal Council grounds on Saturday. This tournament is being held for the third time. The tournament got underway with the arrival of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. He received a warm welcome by the party members. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa dabbled with the bat prior to the commencement of the match. Two teams, one consisting of state ministers and the other consisting of parliamentarians, took part in the cricket tournament. The team of parliamentarians who won the toss opted to bat first. Accordingly, parliamentarians Sampath Athakorala and W.D. Veerasinghe opened the first innings. MP Sampath Athakorala managed to score 19 runs with 2 fours and a 6. MP W.D. Veerasinghe scored 40 runs with 4 sixes and 3 fours. MP Gayashan Navananda scored 29 runs. Their partnership was limited to 128 runs. MP Namal Rajapaksa only scored 21 runs. State Ministers P.L. Nishantha and D.V. Chanaka together scored 80 runs. Accordingly, the team of parliamentarians won the match by 48 runs. Parliamentarians managed to win the second match as well. The trophies for the winners were handed over by former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. MP Gayashan Navananda was adjudged the man of the match. MP W.D. Veerasinghe was the best batsman of the tournament. State Minister Premalal Jayasekara was the best bowler of the tournament. MP C.B. Ratnayaka was the best fielder. The team of parliamentarians who won both the matches managed to win the Mahinda Rajapaksa Challenge Trophy. The team of state ministers became the runners-up of the tournament.
On to other news. Minister of Agriculture says that it is difficult to fund the compensations for farmers with the prevailing economic crisis. It has been 3 to 4 days since water was released from the Samanala River. There are many canals that weren't released a single drop of water. There's no water in the canal that flows past my house either. There was no water for the past 20 days. There was a requirement for a water schedule. If the right decisions were made at the right time and water was released as I said, we could have saved at least 15,000 to 20,000 acres of paddy fields. But unfortunately, as officials have neglected their duties, the innocent farmers became helpless and the food production of the country was also affected. A severe loss has occurred as a result of this.
The minister further commented on the compensation payment to farmers.
The next problem is how to estimate this and how to pay the compensation. This is not Mahaveli. This is Udawalave. The CEB was a part of yesterday's incident, but the compensations are also on my side. When I have to calculate the compensations, I will end up looking like the villain. Everyone is expecting a compensation. Some say the compensation payments aren't sufficient. There will be a problem in financing this. We are in a bankrupt nation of which the economy is at zero. These will have to be paid amidst all sorts of difficulties.
Irrigation Minister Roshan Ranasinghe says that a committee will be appointed to look into the water crisis surrounding the Samanala River. Before the season begins, an agreement must be reached with the Ceylon Electricity Board to get water from the Samanala River. Have they come to an agreement? Because we only had 90,000 acres for Udawalave, we need 330,000 more. That means nearly 230,000 is needed. Did the CEB get permission to get the water from the Samanala River for this 230,000 acres? First, a committee will be appointed to conduct an investigation regarding this matter. Then, when the water levels are reducing, were there discussions with the electricity board? Also, when distributing water, it has been delayed in the beginning of the season. Have they neglected their duties when the beginning of the season was delayed? All of these will be investigated and necessary disciplinary actions will be taken, and this cannot occur again. Distribution of water is a serious responsibility. What is the reality faced by farmers?
After water was released from the Samanala River to the Udawalave Reservoir, water was directed to the rivers in the low-lying areas since the day before yesterday. Even though water is released from the Samanala River to the Udawalave Reservoir, water is not released from the Kiribban River to the farming areas in the Walava left bank. Water is being directed to the Kiribban River, which is located below the Udawalave Reservoir. However, water is yet to be provided to the fields through the Sorowa of the Kiribban River. Water is yet to be provided to paddy fields located below the Walava right bank. Close to 500 acres of paddy fields in Muravasihena and at Batua have been destroyed without water. According to our correspondent, water has only been provided to fields located in the highlands of Angunukola Palasa. The project to provide clean drinking water for the families of the Samagipura village in Monaragala was declared open today. Now, this is yet another rural development project conducted by Government. Samagipura is a rural village falling under the purview of the Sevanagala Divisional Secretariat and is home to around 500 families. It also houses a school which educates 400 children. Sourcing drinking water for those residing in the villages of Samagipura, Kiribban Ara and Mahagama has proven extremely difficult due to the high levels of salinity in the water. This has resulted in many residents falling victim to chronic kidney disease. When the pleas made by the residents to responsible authorities were not heeded, they turned to Government for solace. The Clean Water Project was sponsored by Mr. K. Sunil Senaviratna from Pitakote once it was commenced by Government. The clean water apparatus was installed based on the expert advice of the National Kidney Disease Surveillance and Research Unit of the Ministry of Health and the technical support provided by the Sri Lanka Navy.
මරණයෙන් ගැලවෙන්නට පුදුම තරම් වෙහෙසෙන මිනිසුන්ට පිරිසුදු වතුර වීදුරුවක් අත්‍යවශ්‍ය
Necessity of drinking water has become a concept that is being widely discussed across all platforms. We give our children water straight from the wells, but that water is unsuitable for consumption and it includes various harmful substances. Gammadda, understanding this need, commenced this program to provide the village with clean drinking water. Gammadda has become a program helping communities across the island.
පිරිසුදු පානීය ජලය වැඩසටහන ආරම්භ කරලා අද මුළු ලංකාව පුරාම දියත් කරන වැඩසටහනක් බවට පරිවර්තනය වෙලා තිබෙනවා.
The Sevanagala Divisional Secretary expressed views regarding the service rendered by Gammadda.
අපේ කාර්යාලයට දිනෙන් දින වකුගඩු ආධාර ඉල්ලලා එන අයදුම් පත්‍ර ප්‍රමාණය
The number of patients visiting our office asking for assistance for kidney ailments is increasing day by day. If you become a kidney patient, there is no proper treatment. It is very difficult for us to get clean drinking water from a natural water source. The Gammadda door-to-door initiative identified the exact need of the people of this area.
ගේට ගිහිල්ලා මේ ප්‍රදේශයේ ජනතාවට අවශ්‍ය මොකක්ද කියලා හරියටම හඳුනාගත්තා.
Following the ceremony, dry rations were distributed to underprivileged families. Gammadda, for the people, by the people.
News first, with the people.
On to other news now. The power generation capacity of the Samanilavaeva power plant has been limited owing to the reduction in water levels. The Ceylon Electricity Board says that due to the risk of the emergence of whirlpools at the access point of the power plant to get water from the Samanilavaeva, the power generation capacity has been reduced. The power generation by the plant is now at 80 megawatts. Meanwhile, the water capacity of the Uruvalave reservoir has increased up to 5,751 square feet. The engineer in charge said water will be released to the left bank at a speed of 12.26 cubic meters per second. The water will be released to the right bank at a speed of 9.69 cubic meters per second. The Ceylon Electricity Board says that constructions to increase the capacity of the Southern Province transmission line will be completed within the next 5 days. That is with the permission of the owner of the related land to lay the wiring in the section which was obstructing the final stage of the construction. Accordingly, the laying of power lines of the transmission system from Polpitia to Hambanthuta above the land commenced today. Meanwhile, the CB further says that the second generator of the Norachole power plant, which is currently not in use, will be connected to the national grid by next Wednesday. Up next is Action TV.
On August 5th, News First reported that the PUCSL rejected a request to increase the electricity tariffs, citing that it is established to regulate the unnecessary gains made of companies in the guise of providing a service to the public. On the 21st of July, the General Manager of the Ceylon Electricity Board, in a letter addressed the Director General of the Public Utilities Commission, requested the Commission to grant permission to increase electricity tariffs once again. And in this letter, the General Manager of the CEB has cited three main reasons for his request. It is the Electricity Act that allows the PUCSL to protect the electricity consumers from being overcharged. However, if the draft bill to restructure the energy sector is passed in Parliament in the near future, the subject minister will hold the authority in taking the final decision with regard to the price of electricity. According to the draft, the final decision of the PUCSL must be approved by a board appointed by the subject minister. Before revealing the severity of this draft bill that provides a significant amount of power to the subject minister, attention must be given to an appointment made by the Cabinet. The Cabinet has made this appointment considering a Cabinet memorandum presented by the subject minister on July 27th. According to the memorandum, Dr. Pradeep Pereira has been appointed as an advisor to the PSRS office. The salary of this appointment is paid in US dollars. The salary is worth more than 2.3 million rupees. Dr. Pradeep Pereira was a coordinator of the Regaining Sri Lanka project initiated by the UNP government from 2001 to 2014.
In other news now, an investigation has been launched to look into the death of a cellular lysis patient during the administration of a vaccine. Now, the patient had died while receiving treatment at the Gampaha General Hospital.
The health minister said that the vaccine, which was administered as a treatment for cellular lysis, is a registered drug and the patient had already been administered 10 doses of the same vaccine. 23,000 doses of the drug had been imported to the country and around 15,000 doses have already been administered.
තුවාලයක සිදුව ආසාදන තත්ත්වයක් නිසා 6 වෙනිදා රෝහල්ගත වෙච්ච ලෙඩෙක් නික්ෂේපණයක් ලබා දීමේදී ඇති වූ අසාත්මිකතාවයක්
We were informed that a patient who was hospitalized on the 6th of August due to an infection of a wound died as a result of an allergic condition following the administration of a vaccine. Since the day he was admitted for treatment, antibiotics were injected. This unfortunate death has happened after the administration of the 11th dose of the drug called ceftazidime. For now, the administration of the drug to the patients at the Gampaha General Hospital is put on hold. This is an NMRA registered medicine and has been provided by the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation. This is the first time that this drug resulted in an allergic reaction. We have appointed an executive committee to look into such occasions. We will direct this incident to that committee, asking to submit a complete report on this. Only a batch has still been imported to Sri Lanka. We have prepared all the samples to be sent to the NDQL, a laboratory under the NMRA. They will receive the samples by tomorrow.
ඖෂධ නියමන අධිකාරිය තත්ත්ව රසායනික පරීක්ෂණාගාරයට ඒ අවශ්‍ය සාම්පල් සියල්ලම අපි යවන්න සූදානම් කරලා තියෙන්නේ. හෙට වෙනකොට සාම්පල් ටික ලැබෙන්න සල්.
Today is the World Elephant Day, a day humans celebrate the beauty of the largest land animal on the planet. On a day like today, Sri Lankans must not forget animals such as Agbo, an elephant that is unwell owing to human activity. Now, whether or not veterinarians are able to nurse Agbo back to health is a question many Sri Lankans have in their minds. Now, the story of Agbo is a testament to the severity of the human-elephant conflict in Sri Lanka. The scientific name of the Sri Lankan wild elephant is Elephas maximus maximus. Taking into account the number of elephant deaths per year, elephants in Sri Lanka have been included in the Red Data Book as an endangered subspecies. A male elephant with a lifespan of 60 to 75 years usually requires about 200 kilograms of food for a day. An elephant's favorite food includes grass, bark of trees and different types of ripe fruits. When there is no suitable environment in the forests for wild elephants, they begin to encroach villages. In the past, wild elephants lived in valleys, rainforests and in mountainous forests. But today, they can be found in forests in the dry zone as well. In spite of this, only 5 to 7% of Sri Lankan elephants are tuskers. A few major incidents also caught the public's attention in the recent past, including the story of Agbo, who is in critical condition after he was hurt by a trap gun. The Girandurukota elephant who was seriously injured on the trunk after being hit by an iron bar. The Tirapane Gabbar, a female elephant who was critically injured and later succumbed to its injuries. And not forgetting the Muturaja elephant, a gift by the Thai government that was later sent back to Thailand. Among them, the public's attention was focused on Agbo in the past few days. What is Agbo's condition? It has been over 2 months since Agbo's medical treatments have begun. A team of 50 veterinarians headed by Dr. Taraka Prasad, the director at the Wildlife Veterinary Unit, began treating the elephant who is in critical condition. Accordingly, on the 27th of July, Agbo's left leg was sent in for a scan and it was later revealed that the elephant's bones had been fractured. It was also reported that parts of the bullets were also discovered within the elephant's feet. It was reported that Agbo had been treated 35 times in the past. Wildlife officials are making great efforts to save Agbo the elephant by ensuring that the gentle giant is treated daily. While talking about the World Elephant Day, we cannot forget about the people who are affected by the human-elephant conflict. About 131 divisional secretariats in 19 districts have been severely affected by the human-elephant conflict. Last year alone, 433 elephants have died due to the human-elephant conflict and 125 human lives have been lost. So far, there is no assessment of the property damage in this regard. The most recent incident was reported from Katagastigilia, Anuradhapura. A 58-year-old resident of the area lost her life in a wild elephant attack at around 6 a.m. in Paliputana, Ratmalga, however. The phrase known to us as the human-elephant conflict came into use a few decades ago. For thousands of years, elephants lived in the forest and people lived in villages. Tamed elephants were also observed. The strongholds of great temples and bavars were built by people with the help of these gentle giants. This was at a time when there were no conflicts, only harmony among the two species. The elephant is truly embedded into the Sri Lankan heritage. For thousands of years, the Sri Lankan sustainable way of life had no room for a conflict among elephants and humans. This begs the question, when did the human-elephant conflict begin? The gentle giants were turned into villains when sustainable projects were ignored. Instead, efforts were put into projects that deterred the well-being of the animals that lived in harmony with humans at the time. Wild elephants were turned into villains when elephant passes were obstructed and when unsustainable establishments were constructed after humans encroached the habitats of wild elephants. Who is to blame? Public funds were spent on harming elephants, maintaining electric fences, compensation funds following attacks of wild elephants, and for the alleged managing of the human-elephant conflict. A permanent solution to this everlasting issue is yet to be provided. It is the helpless people and the innocent elephants who have no connection with these unsustainable projects that suffer due to the mishandling of these issues. Instead of temporary impractical solutions, shouldn't the human-elephant conflict be solved with proper assessment? In other news now, a special Gazette notice signed by the Minister of Mass Media has been issued raising the license fees for films, stage plays and music and performance shows in Sri Lanka. Accordingly, the revised fee for obtaining a license to screen a foreign film with its trailer in Sri Lanka is 40,000 rupees. The applicable new license fee for screening a local film with the trailer is 15,000 rupees. The license fee of 37,500 rupees should also be paid for providing cinema hall facilities for the above functions. A license fee of 1,500 rupees has to be paid for an extensive stage play. Revised license fee of an open-air show featuring local artists is 3,750 rupees. The new license fee of 3,000 rupees will be charged for a show in a hall featuring local artists. The new license fee for music and drama shows organized directly by TV channels is 37,500 rupees. In rather tragic news, the victim of the shooting incident reported from Dungalpitia in Negombo has died today. The victim was a 25-year-old resident of North Pitipana area. He was shot by two motorcycle gunmen in Dungalpitia, Negombo on Saturday morning. CCTV footage shows the gunmen fleeing after the shooting. The identities of the gunmen are still not revealed. The police said that the victim died while receiving treatment. In the recent past, shootings carried out by motorcycle gunmen were reported from different parts of the country. A week ago, on the 5th of August, a person was injured in a shooting carried out by motorcycle gunmen in Jubilee Road in Balivaria. On the 30th of July, a person was shot dead in a shooting along Mattis Lane in Keselwatta. On the 15th of May, a group of motorcycle gunmen killed a father while injuring the son near the Nugaruka bridge in Denipitia, Balikama. On the 14th of April, a 29-year-old was killed in Midaramulla, Ahungalla, reportedly shot by motorcycle gunmen. On the 1st of April, an individual was injured after being shot by two motorcycle gunmen in the Valihitikanda road in Kataragama. On the 18th of March, an individual was killed in the Paramananda road in Kotahena by two motorcycle gunmen. In other news, Chief Executive Officer of the Sri Lankan Airlines, Richard Nuttall, speaking to a national Middle Eastern newspaper, has said that the airline should be a target for takeover by carriers in the Gulf once it is privatized. It should be noted that Sri Lankan Airlines made an operating profit for the first time in 15 years.
Richard Nuttall also suggested that Gulf operators could substantially benefit from the airline's easy access to its Asian neighbour, adding that, quote, the big prize for everybody is India, unquote. He suggested that Emirates, which previously owned 40% of Sri Lankan, might be among those carriers who respond to the Colombo government's wish to privatize the airline. It was part owned by Emirates for 10 years until the Sri Lankan government bought all the airline's shares in 2008. In that year, Sri Lankan made a profit of nearly $30 million, but under the government administration, over the next 7 years, it lost $870 million. Asked if the Dubai-based airline was among likely bidders, Nuttall said he could not, quote, speak for either Emirates or anybody else in the Gulf, unquote, but the government's plan was, quote, to look after for expressions of interest in the coming months, and they want to do that fast, unquote. He added, quote, if you work with us, then you start being relevant to the Indian market in all directions. I think that's the big interest for the Gulf carriers, unquote. Sri Lankan Airlines has been severely impacted by a triple hit: the collapse in tourism during the COVID-19 pandemic, the 2019 April 21st attacks, and last year's economic crisis.
Be the first to know about the biggest stories as they break. Subscribe to News First English News Alerts. News First, your trusted English news channel.
Today is the 7th day of the second leg of LOLC Divisavya. Under this program, exercise books and school equipment for the children of Sri Lanka are distributed to schools with fewer than 100 children across the island, focusing on 1,179 students from 16 schools of the Katugastur education zone in the Kandy district. Under this, school books and stationery items were distributed for the Pattapula Primary School, Kinigama Junior School, Palle Ulagama Junior School, Madavela Junior School, Hitkoda Junior School, Mullegama Junior School, Batukoda Junior School, and 17 other schools at the Katugastur Regional Education Office today. This worthy initiative is a collaboration between the LOLC Group and the Ministry of Education. On to news overseas now. The U.S. Attorney General has announced Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, will now be investigated by a special counsel with additional powers.
Merrick Garland, U.S. Attorney General, has elevated the status of David Weiss, the federal prosecutor who has already filed criminal charges in the case. The plea deal on tax and gun charges against the president's son collapsed earlier this month. Republicans are pushing for an inquiry into Hunter Biden's business dealings. In a surprise announcement at the Department of Justice on Friday, Garland explained that he was making the move after a request by Weiss earlier this week. The new designation will provide the prosecutor with extra resources to pursue the investigation and to potentially bring further charges beyond the state of Delaware. According to the U.S. Attorney's Office in Delaware, Hunter Biden has since been charged with 2 misdemeanor tax offenses for allegedly not paying income taxes in 2017 and 2018, years in which he earned in excess of $1.5 million. He faces an additional felony charge for allegedly possessing a firearm while addicted to and using illegal drugs. Hunter Biden had previously reached a deal with prosecutors to plead guilty to the tax charges. However, U.S. District Court judge squashed the deal due to the non-standard terms and the unusual nature of the proposed resolution for the gun charge.
Meanwhile, in rather tragic news overseas, the Hawaii wildfires have reached a grim milestone as the death toll rose to 67, making it the deadliest natural disaster in the state's history. Now, hundreds more have been reported missing, and the death toll may still rise.
It comes as some Lahaina residents are being allowed to briefly return home on Friday to take stock of the damage to their fire-ravaged town. They returned amid warnings that they would be greeted by destruction like they've not seen in their lives. State officials reopened Lahaina to people with proof of residency on Friday for the first time since flames swept rapidly through early this week, razing much of the historic town. People who had been evacuated with only the clothes on their backs told the BBC they were concerned it may be hard to prove their residency. A curfew will operate daily from 10 to 6 local time, and some of the hardest hit parts of the town remain restricted to search and rescue personnel. West Maui, where Lahaina is located, is still without power and water. Search crews are still in the area looking for wildfire victims.
In other news now making headlines throughout the world the past few weeks, the United States' top diplomat has reiterated his grave concerns for the well-being of deposed President of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum, after a coup on the 26th of July resulted in his removal from power.
U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken held a telephone call on Friday with Bazoum's predecessor, former President Mahamadou Issoufou, to talk about the deteriorating conditions the embattled leader faces. Bazoum is being held in the presidential palace in Niger's capital alongside his wife and one of their children. Meanwhile, Russia has warned that military intervention in Niger would lead to a protracted confrontation after regional bloc Economic Community of West African States said it would assemble a by force. The Russian Foreign Ministry said such an intervention would destabilize the Sahel region as a whole. Russia does not formally back the coup, but the United States, which backs the efforts to restore deposed leader Mohamed Bazoum, says its Wagner mercenary group is taking advantage of the instability. On Friday, coup supporters, some waving Russian flags, protested at the French military base near the capital, some chanting "Down with France, down with ECOWAS." Both France and US operate military bases in Niger, and they have been used to launch operations against jihadist groups in the wider region. Military officials from the Economic Community of West African States are reportedly set to meet on Saturday to draft plans for a military intervention. The bloc has said it remains open to finding a diplomatic solution to the crisis, but Nigeria's president said on Thursday that, quote, "no option is taken off the table, including the use of force as a last resort," unquote.
Isipatana College, the undefeated team in the school's rugby league, lost today against the Royal College, Colombo, 22-17 points. Now, meanwhile, Trinity College defeated St. Thomas's College 31-20, retaining the Canon RS Disserum Shield.
Royal College, Colombo, the host team, scored 5 points with a try, a penalty and a conversion. Isipatana College scored 2 tries, 2 conversions and a penalty. Accordingly, Royal College defeated the undefeated Isipatana College and won the Major Milroy Fernando Trophy.
That's a wrap of Primetime News here on TV1. Stay tuned to our social media pages to stay updated with the latest of information and news. Bringing you the news from the news desk tonight, I am Sandro Satyajan signing off. Take care.